The call came at 6:17 on a Tuesday evening. I almost ignored it because I didn't recognize the number. Then I heard my 16-year-old daughter whisper, "Mom, it's me." "Sophie? Whose phone is this?" Cars rushed past behind her. Then she said the words that turned my blood cold. "Mom, don't come home." I stopped in the grocery store parking lot. What happened? "Aunt Melissa is inside our house." I couldn't breathe. My sister Melissa had been dead for 12 years. And before I could speak, Sophie whispered, "She has a key, and she's looking for the blue box Dad told me never to give you." Then the line went dead. My name is Laura Bennett. I'm 41, and until that evening, I believed the worst thing my family had survived was losing my husband David in a car accident 6 years earlier. I called back immediately. A man answered. "Where is my daughter?" "She's safe," he said. "I own the gas station on Pine Street. She ran in here scared and asked to use my phone." "Put her on." Sophie came back. "Mom, please don't go home. Tell me exactly what you saw." "I got home from school. The back door was open. I heard someone upstairs. A woman was in your bedroom." "And you think it was Melissa?" "I know it was." Sophie had been 4 when Melissa disappeared. "How could you know what she looked like?" Silence. Then Sophie said, "Because Dad showed me pictures of her." Something inside me shifted. "What pictures?" "Mom, Dad told me things I wasn't supposed to tell you until I was older." I leaned against my car. "What blue box?" "I can't explain here." Before I could push, Sophie said, "And Mom? Don't trust anyone who says Melissa died in the lake." Melissa was 3 years older than me. When we were children, I followed her everywhere. She taught me to ride a bike, braid my hair, and lie to our father when we stayed out too late. Then, when I was 29, she disappeared. Her car was found near Lake Warren. Her purse and phone were inside. Police searched for weeks. They never found her body. Eventually, everyone called it a drowning. My father refused to discuss her again. He died 2 years later. For 12 years, I forced myself to believe Melissa was gone, until my daughter saw her in my bedroom. I drove to the gas station. Sophie was behind the counter, wrapped in an old gray sweatshirt. The owner had called police. The second she saw me, she ran into my arms. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "For what?" "For keeping Dad's secret." She reached into her backpack and pulled out a small brass key. "Dad gave me this 3 days before he died. He said there was a blue metal box under a loose floorboard in his workshop. If something happened to him, I was supposed to wait until I was 16, open it, and decide if you were ready to know the truth." My eyes filled. "You opened it?" "Yesterday." "What was inside?" "Letters, photos, bank records, and a voice recorder." "Where's the box?" "In my school locker." That was the first good decision anyone in my family had made in years. Police searched our house. No one was there. There was no forced entry. Whoever came inside had used a key. My bedroom was torn apart, but nothing valuable was missing. They had been searching for one thing: the blue box. That night, Sophie and I stayed at a hotel. She placed David's old recorder on the bed. "I listened to only part of it," she said. "Why?" "Because he says your name." My hands shook as I pressed play. For a moment, there was static. Then I heard David's voice for the first time in 6 years. "Laura, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry. I should have told you sooner." I covered my mouth. Then he said, "Melissa is alive." My whole body went numb. David explained that 3 months after Melissa disappeared, she came to him. Not to me. To him. She said our father had been using her name, and mine, to move money through accounts connected to his failing construction company. When she discovered it, she threatened to go to police. Our father warned her that one account carried my forged signature. If she exposed him, I could be dragged into the investigation too. Melissa panicked. She staged her disappearance, and David helped her leave. I stopped the recording. No, David would never hide that from me. But I already knew he had. I pressed play again. His voice sounded broken. I told myself I was protecting you. Melissa made me promise. After your father died, she wanted to come home. But someone else knew about the accounts. David named him Thomas Reed, our family attorney, the same man who handled my father's estate, the same man who handled David's life insurance, and the same man who had called me 2 weeks earlier about updating my will. Sophie whispered, "That's why I told you not to come home." I looked at her. What does Thomas have to do with the woman you saw? She wasn't alone. I heard a man downstairs. I heard her say, "Thomas, the box isn't here." Police questioned Thomas that night. He denied everything. Then he made one mistake. He said, "Laura is grieving. She probably imagined the woman." No one had told him I had seen anyone, because I hadn't. Sophie had. The next morning, detectives collected the blue box from her school. Inside were financial records, letters from Melissa, and photos David had taken during secret meetings with her. But the most important thing was an envelope addressed to me. It was in Melissa's handwriting. "Laura, I didn't leave because I stopped loving you. Dad put your name on documents you never signed. Thomas helped him. After Dad died, Thomas found me and said he would destroy the evidence if I stayed away forever. David tried to help me fix it. Then David died." I read the last sentence again. Inside the box was also a mechanic's report dated 2 weeks before David's crash. Brake line appears deliberately damaged. Vehicle unsafe. David's accident had happened on a dry road in the middle of the afternoon. A witness said his car suddenly crossed the center line. For 6 years, I had believed he fell asleep. Now police reopened the case. And Thomas Reed disappeared. For 36 hours, no one knew where he was. Then another unknown number called me. A woman said, "Laura?" I knew the voice instantly. I started crying. "Melissa!" She cried too. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Then she said, "I'm sorry." 12 years of anger exploded out of me. You let me believe you were dead. You let me grieve you. You let David carry this alone. I know. Where are you? At the police station. Melissa had turned herself in. She had been the woman in my house. But Thomas had not been with her. That was Sophie's mistake. Thomas had called Melissa 2 days earlier. He told her David had hidden evidence in a blue box and threatened Sophie if Melissa didn't retrieve it. Melissa came to our house using an old spare key David had given her years ago. The man Sophie heard downstairs wasn't physically there. Melissa had Thomas on speakerphone. That was why Sophie heard her say, "Thomas, the box isn't here." Melissa hadn't come to hurt us. She came because she believed stealing the box would keep Sophie safe. When Sophie unexpectedly came home, Melissa panicked and ran. Police used Melissa's phone records to locate Thomas at a motel 3 counties away. The investigation uncovered years of fraud tied to my father's company and Thomas's law office. But there was one thing prosecutors could never prove: whether Thomas had caused David's crash. The damaged brake line made it suspicious. His threats made it worse. But suspicion was not proof. For a long time, that haunted me. I wanted certainty. Instead, I had to learn how to live without every answer. Melissa did not move back into my life overnight. There was too much pain. The first time we sat together after her police statement, neither of us knew what to say. Finally, she looked at Sophie. "You have your mother's eyes." Sophie smiled through tears. "And apparently, this family's talent for keeping terrible secrets." Melissa laughed. So did I. Then all 3 of us cried. Months later, Thomas pleaded guilty to fraud and intimidation charges. The financial case cleared my name completely. One Sunday, Sophie and I opened the blue box again. At the bottom was one final note from David. It was for Sophie. If you're reading this at 16, I hope you're braver than the adults around you were. Protect your mother, but don't protect her with lies. Tell her the truth when the truth can finally set her free. Sophie looked at me. Dad broke his own rule. Yes, I said. He did. Then I pulled her close. But you didn't. I still think about that first phone call. Mom, don't come home. At the time, I thought my daughter was warning me away from danger. But really, she was warning me away from the life I thought I knew. That night, I didn't go home. And strangely, that was the night I finally found my family again.